Practice is in full pads today. And who are the 40 most important players in college football? And why aren't there more Bammers on that list?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. We'll talk about Monarch Money in just a little bit. I want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. And thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen every single day. You guys are the best. So, Jimmy, we had a practice yesterday on Tuesday, and Ryan Grubb had some things to say about the quarterbacks. Couple of things caught my attention. No picks yesterday. That's a big positive. Let me I was like, that's just fantastic because, when you think about last year and you think about our losses, it was all interceptions. And again, this is not the trounce, look back and trounce Jalen Milroe. You and I love Milroe, but think about Vandy. The pick six, which gave them a 14-0 lead, sort of set the tone. Think about Tennessee. We're in the red zone, about to go up by a pretty good margin, and we throw a pick, and they take it out to about the 50.
Change the game.
Oklahoma, didn't they had a pick six, right? Along with –
They did. They had one that was a return. Jalen made the tackle. That's funny that people, I know they harp on that horrible less than half effort he made on that second interception, which ended up being the pick six. But on the first interception, Jalen made the tackle, on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, those terrible plays. And overall, this surprises people. I looked it up because there was a discussion about it a while ago. I looked it up. Only two, this probably surprised a lot of people listening. Only two SEC teams last year scored more points than Alabama. I bet that surprises a lot of people because I think a lot of people are like, gosh, our offense is just terrible. Well, only two SEC teams scored more points. I think Luke is 100% right here. The primary problem with the offense wasn't a lack of points. Now, it wasn't one game. I know we remember up in Norman. But overall, the offense scored enough points for Alabama to have a really good season. The problem was the offense had too many terrible, terrible negative plays and interceptions that basically directly led to losses, and it's something that has to be, quote, cleaned up, and I think it will be. But we also need to expect, two of Ty Simpson's first 4 games will be on the road. That's not a good formula for a brand new starter. So I think Ty just simply has to survive Tallahassee and Athens, and by that I'm not necessarily saying wins, although obviously winning in Tallahassee would be my advice to Ty. Athens is a different hill to climb.
Yeah, that's like when Dumb and Dumber, when Lloyd Christmas, when the guy opened up the briefcase with all the money and he had nothing but IOUs. And the guy was like, what is this? Lamborghini, for $500,000? And he said, yeah, that's a big one. You might want to hold on to that one.
Oh, yeah, don't lose that one. Don't lose that one.
Yeah.
But now, Ty, turning down the turnovers were, I would say, problem number one with the offense. It obviously wasn't scoring in the sense that Alabama was third in the SEC and I think 16th in the country in scoring points a year ago. So that's not bad. I think that surprises people because I think most Alabama fans are like, gosh, the offense was the real problem last year. And it was. But what we also have to remember is so much of the offense was actually pretty good. Particularly the first half of the season. Now, the second half of the season, I think you played some better teams, and there's more film on Alabama. And I think some schools got to where they did a good job defending Milroe specifically. Not everybody, but LSU didn't. But some of those schools down the stretch, I think Oklahoma and Michigan, in particular, I think they had scouted Milroe, really well, and really limited him.
Well, and again, then you on that same thought process about the lack of interceptions yesterday being so positive. We talked about, of course, Vandy had the pick six. I don't remember. There might have been another turnover, but I don't know if Jalen Milroe had another turnover.
Yeah, there was a second turnover in that game. But one of the things about, and that's why we have to remember, not every interception is the quarterback's fault. Not every sack is the offensive line's fault. We just have a tendency to believe that as fans. But I think that interception at Vandy, the Alabama player had his hand on the ball and he missed it and it got tipped up in the air. I think was a factor. I don't recall the specific play, but it wasn't a thing where Milroe hit a Vandy defender. The numbers that was sort of a tip ball situation.
Yeah.
And the fumble, he did fumble and turn it over, but it was one where Alabama's offensive lineman or whoever
they gave us a big sack.
just absolutely whiffed, and Milroe got blindsided. And half the quarterbacks alive drop that ball. When you're blindsided to that degree. So I'm not making excuses for him. Both of those turnovers were ascribed to Milroe. I'm just saying not every turnover is the same.
So then of course, the Tennessee one we've talked about, the Oklahoma one. I mean,
those were terrible.
I mean, you could directly blame the Tennessee, Oklahoma, and the Michigan losses on our quarterbacks' turnovers. I mean, directly 100% attribute the losses to those turnovers. So again, I'm looking now. He had 11 interceptions last year. For a guy who threw it 319 times and only had 16 TDs, and you have Jeremy Bernard and you have Ryan Williams, we got to do better than that. And I think we will this year. That's the thing. I mean, everybody worried to death about Ty Simpson, and here's what's going to happen. We've been saying it. Ty Simpson is going to have a lot better stats to me. I believe this, than 16 touchdowns passing. I think he's won more yards than 28-44 passing.
More yards, more TDs.
I think he might
more yards, more TDs. Hopefully less interceptions.
Yeah. So and I think everybody's going to go, well, why didn't he play last year? And again, forgetting the dynamics of it all. But that said, we won't go down that rabbit hole again. I just wanted to say that comment from Ryan Grubb caught my eye and as being very, very positive. Now, the other thing that caught my eye, he said all the quarterbacks are taking first, second, and third team snaps, with the exception of Ty, who's not taking any third team snaps. And so, again, if there's any doubt from anybody out there who the quarterback is going to be Ty. We just hadn't named him yet. That's all. Yeah. It's just.
As of now, here's two scrimmages coming up. That could change everything. I mean, just imagine, and I don't want to because it would create a mess. Imagine in the next scrimmage or two, Ty plays very poorly. And what if one of the younger guys does really well? That could change things. Do I think that's what's going to happen? No, I don't think that's what's going to. I think they're going to continue to scrimmage in the same vein at which they practice, which means Ty is going to look the most ready to play against Florida State. But I do think the scrimmages could change things, and that's why Ty hasn't been officially named the starter. But from what Luke just said to you guys, that's the message there. Ty not playing with the threes, which means Ty's going to be a 1 or a 2, and we know that to the surprise of no one. And some of the time, Austin Mack and Keelan Russell get snaps with the 1s. When that happens, Ty moves over to the other field with the 2s, and or when they substitute outies with the 2s. And that's to be expected. You've got to give Keelan Russell and Austin Mack time with the 1s. Number one, to see exactly where they are in their development. And number two, Ty is one turned ankle away from being on the sidelines, and one of the other guys has to play. This does happen. Let's remember, Jalen Milroe played for Bryce Young, a couple of games. Ty had to come in for Jalen last year a couple of times for one snap here and there. It happened. I think even in the Oklahoma game, Jalen got rolled up on, came out, looked like he might be out for a while. He was only out for a snap or two, and Ty came in. But, whoever's number 2, and I think it's going to be, here's my guess as to that. I think it's going to be Austin Mack early, Keelan Russell late. And I'm talking about the season. Maybe, first 6 games it's Austin, last 6 games Keelan. That's a guess on my part in terms of how that's going to play out.
And then they talk about, again, the rotation for the receivers, and it's just like we said, they still basically have Ryan Williams always with the 1s, Jeremy Bernard mostly with the 1s, but yesterday it was Jalen Hill with the 1s, which I thought was very, very cool. Isaiah Horton and Derek Meadows were in the second group, they were 2 and 3 behind Hale, I should say. And behind Ryan Williams was Cole Adams and Arian Hampton. I think Arian Hampton's the guy who's sort of getting lost in the shuffle right now. And then behind Bernard with Rico Scott and Jalen Mbakwe.
You know what that tells me also from reading too deeply into that? When you say who's behind Ryan, Ryan was in the slot. That's 3 receivers, and behind Ryan were Cole and Bubba Hampton.
Yeah, slot guys.
That means Ryan was in the slot with Hale and Bernard outside. And hey, I love it. I mean, I love it if Ryan's primary position is the slot. Very difficult position to cover, and you end up matched up on inside guys. And obviously safeties pick you up whenever you run a deeper route. He's going to be picked up by one of the back end guys, but on those crossing routes and stuff in the middle where Ryan can make a play after the catch, he's probably going to have, a safety or a linebacker on him in those situations.
And then one guy whose name I just haven't seen a lot, Nakai Hill Green. I still think he's going to be a huge addition here. I haven't seen a lot of reports on him. And that stood out to me yesterday.
I get that. We haven't seen his name a whole lot either, but my understanding is that he is a solid part of what amounts to a 3-man rotation inside with Deontay Lawson and Justin Jefferson. And I think particularly with Lawson still nursing last year's significant injury, I think we're going to see Hill Green for as many snaps as we see Deontay and JJ. But the 4th inside linebacker is a battle, and that changes day to day. Because obviously, when you line up a first team, you line up a second team, there's going to be a 4th one. Sometimes that 4th one has been QB Reese. Sometimes that 4th one has been Caden Jones. So that continues to be a fun battle. And for those that say, oh, well, that's not a big deal, I bet it's going to be a very big deal come next spring as to which one of those 2 is ahead of the other.
Now we're going to talk a little Monarch money because you need more Monarch money in your life. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big old purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. It's just helped me so much realize that I'm spending money on frivolous stuff. And so I've been able to save more. I appreciate Monarch Money so much for helping me get my life back on track. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, Locked On College, for half off your first year with Monarch Money.
You had talked about Dumb and Dumber earlier, and when you said you were spending money on frivolous stuff, I had this immediate scene in my head of you being told by your wife, hey, there's only $25 in your wallet. Don't go spend it on anything frivolous, only the necessities. And then you walk out of the store and you've got the big foam hat and pinwheels. Pinwheels are coming out. Remember that when Lloyd went to the store and they only had like $20 to only spend it on the necessities. And that big hat and the pinwheels.
Knowing me, I'd be like, hey, honey, they allowed me to finance all this. Okay. How about something I thought was a little interesting from ESPN? And look, they're transitioning from talking season to, okay, this stuff is kind of relevant. The 40 most important players in college football. Now, Jimmy, you won't need any Red Bull to get excited about this. Your main man, Arch Manning, is number 1. Then Gunnar Stockton is 2, and Ty Simpson is 3. And I swear when I first opened this list, I was like, man, he better have Ty Simpson on here. And I was scared he's going to be like way down the list. And
it's got to be quarterbacks.
First of all, it's a ton of quarterbacks, and which I'm cool with because that's important. That's a big deal.
Most important players in college football are quarterback.
No, most important players in sports.
I would say 2 decades. Two decades ago, I'd have gone with another position. But college football has followed the NFL. The NFL's been like this for a while. Check out the NFL playoffs as soon as this season's over and look at who the quarterbacks are of the playoff teams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a quarterback league in the NFL, and that has eventually bled its way down to college football to where I don't know that you can win a national championship with like some of the players that have won national championships at quarterback in the past at a bunch of different schools. I don't know you can do it anymore. You really need a real talented kid there. And when people say, "Oh, look at Stetson Bennett," you know what? He's a talented kid, Stetson Bennett.
So when they talk about Ty Simpson, it says the Bama defense only gave up 14.4 points per game in its final 7 contests, but the Tide just went 4-3. And when you in that span, when you put it like that, you're like, oh my God, yeah, okay. Yeah. We have sort of located the issue. Now, again, this is not a just trash Jalen Milroe thing. I think there was more at play here, but it is one of those things where you're like, okay, if we can just if we could have cut down on average, if we had taken out 2 interceptions of the whole year, we're in the playoffs again.
Yeah,
100%. You can make the argument you take out 1 interception, we're in. And so
there's no doubt the interceptions. If you look at Jalen's numbers in 2023 and his numbers in 2024, like what's the biggest difference? There's no doubt there's a lot more turnovers in 2024. And that's kind of weird about how, because most kids get better developmentally and then there's fewer mistakes. But I think what's happened was really the changes in offenses is what really, and I do think Saban and Tommy Rees sort of minimized what you put on the quarterback. Like let's not put too much on him. He's young. He's making his first starts. Let's not put too much on him. There were fewer turnovers. DeBoer comes in brand new. He's like, the quarterback just finished 6th in the Heisman. He runs a 4.3 40. We just got here. He's our best athlete on offense. Let's build it around him and put it on him. And I get why they would do that. And it did work for a while until it didn't. But I'm just saying, I think that's the explanation as to why developmentally he didn't go backwards. I just think that they put more on him and it didn't always work.
And so the other thing I would think is if I weren't a Bama guy and if I didn't understand how important Ty Simpson was, if I was just a national dude that was like, if I'm in Minnesota, I'd be like, Ty Simpson, Gunnar Stockton at 2-3, give me a break. But I get it that they're more important in this sense. If like he has Garrett Nussmeier at number 9. Now, nobody is saying Ty Simpson is better than Garrett Nussmeier. He has Cade Klubnik at 8, same thing. Hey, Lenore Sellers at 11, John Mateer at 13.
Because they're more proven, I guess. Because they're more proven.
I think what he's saying is it's more important for their development. And like we kind of know what now. Again, those other players are super important. Like if LSU loses Garrett Nussmeier, it's a problem. Cade Klubnik goes out, it's a problem. But assuming everybody's healthy, we know what Cade Klubnik's bringing to the table. Now, the importance thing comes in where, like, if Ty Simpson if he only gives us what Jalen Milroe gave us last year, Alabama's in trouble. Because Jalen Milroe was able to bail himself out of some predicaments with his legs. Now, Ty's a good runner. I know somebody's going to throw that in there. He's a really good runner. You're right. But I don't think he's as good as Jalen Milroe. I mean, that's just crazy to say. So then the other thing that I noticed, they have Harold Perkins at 18. I mean, I didn't forget he's on the team, but I bet a lot of people forgot he's on there. And I love Harold Perkins.
He's not even their best defender anymore, in my opinion. Their best
I agree.
Whit Weeks is their best defender, and I don't think that Harold is. But we'll see. I've heard some interesting things about that. Harold Perkins is a fantastic talent. Here's Luke. Here's an interesting thing about this list, and it gets to this point, and I'll say something emphatic. How about a bold proclamation here? Name the power programs that will have a new quarterback. You can probably rip 6 or 8 off. Name the power programs that have a new quarterback. Texas, Oregon, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. I mean, and there's more. I just ripped them off. Here's what to keep in mind. There's no way every one of those guys is going to be good.
No way.
That's what's going to be interesting. Yeah. Someone's not going to be good. And Heck, I hope it's not our Alabama's turning the barrel,
Yeah.
as they say. I hope not. But there's no way Dante Moore at Oregon and Julian Say at Ohio State and Arch Manning and Gunnar Stockton and Ty Simpson and I'm sure I'm leaving Bryce Underwood at Michigan.
Yeah,
Maybe,
assuming he's starting.
Yeah, assuming he's starting. John Mateer at Oklahoma, even though he's a transfer. But
whoever
it's
Tennessee
SEC.
has, you know.
Yeah, Aguilar probably at Tennessee. I'm just saying these new quarterbacks. There's no way all of them will be good. That doesn't happen. Now we'll see.
And that's why I like this list.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating.
Why I like this list, because I think what happens is if Gunnar Stockton turns out to not be good, Georgia's not going to be very good. And so that's why I think he's way, you know. So, I mean, we know what Garrett Nussmeier is. We know what Cade Klubnik. Now, going down the list a little more, you got Peter Woods or TJ Parker at 26. He's sort of cheating there, but I'm 100% on board. Good Lord. I mean, what I wouldn't give to have one of those dudes on this team. How the prospects of Alabama would change so much with the outlook. For the perception would change so much.
I'll throw in another name there in that same vein, and you're going to agree. It's even more Keldrick Falk.
Yeah, but we were never in the Keldrick Falk game.
Well, but perhaps we should have been, or perhaps
I'm not saying we shouldn't have been. I'm saying it was never really an option.
Right.
Now,
Ryan, didn't he commit to FSU before he flipped?
He was committed to FSU forever, and then Auburn hired Hugh Freeze, and Hugh made him a super priority, and he flipped on signing day, I think. Ryan Williams at number 27, and this is what they had to say about Ryan. And by the way, I love that every time Ryan Williams' name comes up on ESPN, they put the highlight of that Georgia play because I watch it every time. Jeremiah Smith had one of the best freshman seasons we've ever seen, but a different freshman might have made the best play of 2024. I don't think there's any doubt about that. His production tailed off after the first 5 games, but it's clear what he's capable of. And, you know, I think that's pretty crucial. There are no more Bammers on the list, so we won't go down anymore. And then they sort of divvy up into like Big 12 ACC people or whatever. But I think it's an important list. I think there could be some more Bammers on there. I think, you know, if you wanted to add somebody like a Deontay Lawson, like a Tim Keenan, like a Parker Brailsford or Caden Proctor, if you wanted to put one of those dudes on there, I'd totally get it.
Deontay's health is, I think, a major story for Alabama, because it's kind of hard to imagine Alabama being great on defense when you're not getting the Deontay Lawson you're expecting. So I do think his health is a major thing. But yeah, I would agree. Most important players, quarterbacks.
Okay, we love this. We got a guy reached out to you and me on Twitter talking about, hey, why don't y'all talk about what you think are the most crucial position groups this year?
Yeah.
And look, by the way, that's something we would love. You know, some of you already do this, but interact with us on Twitter. You can see our Twitter handles down below our names, and you can interact and say, hey, why don't y'all talk about this? We'd love to. That's sort of cool. And another idea that was brought up to us by another Locked On host was, you know, put some polls or your own little top 10 things up and see, you know, get some interaction. And it's a good way just to have people a little more engaged. I think that's awesome. But so a listener said, most crucial position groups, how do you rank them? Now, I think the easiest thing to always do is say quarterback is the most important. And I mean, it is. And the ESPN just agreed with you in a sense. But I would say, in my opinion, Jimmy, I think offensive line might be the most important, because if we can't protect Ty, it doesn't matter how good he is.
That's a great point. That's 100% great point. There's no quarterback that can operate behind. You know, like Bryce Young, I knew this number, but I was reminded of it yesterday. In his rookie year with the Panthers, he was sacked 62 times. I mean, and we're gonna like criticize, you know, like, boy, Bryce Young was such a disappointment his rookie season. Really? He was sacked 62 times.
That's incredible.
You can't function.
No.
I mean, any human being, when you're sacked that much, as soon as you take the snap, you're looking at the pass rush. You're not looking at your receivers. But anyway, so yeah, Luke's made a good point about that. My answer, though, would be boring. I know, quarterback. I think it's the most crucial position on the team, because I can't imagine Alabama having a ton of success without Ty or whomever the quarterback ends up being, be very good. I think the quarterback has to be very good for Alabama to make the playoff. And right now it looks like that quarterback's going to be Ty. But I think quarterback is because if you're not getting good quarterback play, you're probably not in the playoff, and that's going to be a little bit of a mess for Alabama. I would say my number 2 answer might surprise some people, but it's related to that, and that's running back. Because to get a good season out of Ty, assuming he's the starter, you're going to have to take pressure off him by getting more production out of the running back position. Alabama did not get good enough production from the running back spot a year ago. That's got to improve because that's what will take some heat off Ty. If you don't run the ball from the running back position, then you've done what Alabama inadvertently did last year, and that's just put too much on the quarterback, that we became completely dependent on the quarterback's play to win the game. And that was a little much for Jalen over 12 or 13 games. And probably be too much for Ty. You can't expect Ty by himself to go out there and win 12 or 13 games. We've got to get production from the running backs that will take some heat off Ty, therefore allowing him to flourish. If it's all on him because we can't run the ball, oof. So notice how all our answers are offensively and not defense. And that's, you know why? With that, speaking for Luke, I think we just have more confidence that the defense is going to be good. I think there's a real confidence in defense is probably going to be good enough to make the playoff and be a really good team. I think there are more question marks as to the offense.
Yeah, and another thing, when you think about Alabama's schedule, we're playing a Florida State team. Yeah, I know Thomas Castellanos is coming in, and he's good. I mean, he's a good player. I mean, we can make fun of him for his pot shots at Alabama if we want to and say, yeah, we're going to get him and teach him. We could, but he's still a good quarterback. Then you're welcoming in Wisconsin. I'm not sure who's going to be throwing the ball for them.
Billy Edwards.
Billy Edwards, okay.
He was Maryland's quarterback last year.
Billy Edwards sounds like your grade school bully, doesn't it?
I was going to say
Billy Edwards took my money again.
It sounds like a made-up name in a novel.
Billy Mumphrey.
He's an optimist.
He's a cockeyed optimist.
A cockeyed optimist, yeah.
Okay, so by the way, Comedy Central apparently is not doing Seinfeld in the afternoons anymore, and I am PO'd. Like, I could watch Seinfeld over and over. But
yeah,
anyway.
I've only seen every episode 20 times, and that's not enough.
It's not enough. But, okay, so then Wisconsin, they're not exactly a ball-throwing, team anyway. Then you play a Georgia team. While their receiver room is certainly upgraded, I believe that. Zachariah Branch, I love him. He was on that most important list. They got some other dudes that came in that they got some good receivers. But Gunnar Stockton, for the moment, isn't putting the fear of God in you. In fact, I would go so far as to say Carson Beck is better than Gunnar Stockton. And if Gunnar Stockton could prove me wrong, I'm not against that. I'm just saying. So then you play a Vandy team with Pavia, who didn't beat us with his arm. He beat us with his leg and just being very smart the previous year. Tennessee's got a whole new group. Missouri's got a whole new group. Now, when you get to LSU, you play Garrett Nussmeier. That's going to be tough. They got some good receivers, too. That's going to be tough. Okay, so that's a game where our defense is going to have to step up. There's no doubt about it. And Auburn's passing game will probably be improved, but it is still Jackson Arnold, who wasn't great. I know what he did to us. No Auburn
good
fans.
Receivers. Good receivers.
And good receivers. They have a great receiver room, honestly.
He didn't even have any receivers last year. Jackson Arnold's gone from having no receivers to having a fleet of pretty good ones.
Yeah.
Or really good ones.
And then John Mateer at Oklahoma, okay, that could be a thing. But I would also
I'm not sure what their situation at wide receiver
I don't either. And that's what I'm saying is we may not need we want the defense to be awesome always, but we may not need them to be as crucial because I don't think while the schedule is arduous, I don't think the offenses we're not playing a lot of seasoned veterans out there. And if we are playing one outside of Garrett Nussmeier, it's John Mateer, who's coming into a whole new conference. I mean, yeah, he was great at Washington State. Let's see what he does in the SEC for a little bit.
And you're getting both of those teams at home. And a stat that few mention that probably needs to be brought up is DeBoer did pretty good at the home games.
Yeah.
I mean, Alabama played pretty well at Bryant Denny, and you do get Garrett Nussmeier and John Mateer, who are going to be two of the best quarterbacks you face all year. Castellanos, I'm not so much worried about him being great so much as I worry about him being a fit with what Gus does. And that type of offense gave us trouble a year ago. I mean, this is the type of offense that gave Alabama trouble. And now you've got a square peg, square hole situation there where Castellanos seems to be a good fit with what Gus does best. And that should, I'm not worry might not be the best term, but it's a challenge. It's a challenge based on how Alabama played a year ago on defense.
It should be noted that, yes, everybody says, Gus is giving Alabama fits. Gus did give Alabama fits to a degree, and those were Nick Saban Alabama teams. They were also at the end of the year, frankly, when Auburn usually, now occasionally it was different, but usually Auburn wasn't playing for much, and we were their Super Bowl. I mean, again, I'm not trying to overstep my bounds and hurt feelings. I'm just saying that, in 17, Auburn certainly, and Alabama had a lot on the line, et cetera, et cetera. But for the most part, Auburn wasn't battling to get into the SEC title game, and we were looking forward to the SEC title game. So it usually was like, we don't want to – and also he gave us more fits on the road than he did at home. Now, this new crowd, it's a whole new vibe. So maybe he doesn't have Kalen DeBoer quite as figured out as he did Nick Saban. And I'm using the term figured out quite loosely. Again, I'm trying to not disrespect Gus because I do respect that Auburn was, as much as you can be a bugaboo to Nick Saban, Auburn kind of was that.
I also suspect Gus might be at his best as an OC as opposed to a head coach potentially.
Good point.
And maybe, I think that's Gus's wheelhouse is being an OC. And now some of that heat is off of him to where he can. And I also think Gus is so QB dependent. When he's got these athletic quarterbacks, it seems to be when he's at his best. He always seems to want to coach a passer, but it's the Nick Marshall types that have made Gus very hard to defend. And Castellanos is a lot like that.
I do want to add this. Gus looked awesome in 2010. He had Cam Newton.
Oh,
okay.
Well, yeah.
If you give anybody Cam Newton, they're going to look pretty good, doggone good. And then the next year, 2011, guess what? Auburn lost 42-14, scored no offensive touchdowns.
That's right. That's right. And that just shows how quarterback dependent it is. And one last thing about that, because I still laugh about this everyone, as soon as I'm just saying about how great Gus is as an OC. In 2010, when he was OC at Auburn, and early that season, when it came down to hey, we want a quarterback to run the ball, they'd take Cam out and put in, I think, Cody Burns as a wild. Right. They used Cody Burns as a wildcat quarterback when they had Cam Newton.
That is insane to think
That's
about.
Doing the defense a favor.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to run the ball with the quarterback, put Cam on the sideline. Like, oh, thank goodness. Put in anybody. Put in Manziel.
It's so ridiculous when you think about it like that. It's so ridiculous.
Well, I think it's because sometimes you don't even know what you got, I guess. But
in his defense, they didn't know. Nobody knew, But
I think he was a handful.
Frankly, that's about as brilliant as my saying right before Derrick Henry breaks off an 80-yard touchdown against Arkansas. Y'all know we're going to turn him into a linebacker, right? All he's done since then is set the SEC single season rushing mark, win a Heisman, be an all-pro.
Greatest running back of all time.
Greatest high school, college, and NFL running back combination of all time. That's all he's done. I mean, I don't know why do I have a podcast? All right. That's going to do it for today's podcast. We will be back tomorrow morning. Until then, we hope we're back tomorrow. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.